So, you know how I tell people he's my service dog? Hugger's my service dog. Right now, I have a very, very bad fibromyalgia attack where if I get out of bed, I'm gonna have to crawl on the walls, hang onto the walls. It's just insane, and I've had a migraine since yesterday. It diminishes a little bit, but then it really spikes. I have to laugh because otherwise I'm gonna cry. But hang on, let me see if I can get to show it. This is what he does when I have a migraine or a fibro. Normally, he'll be where the pain is. And it's his way of grounding me. In anxiety therapy, they call it mindfulness. He changes my train of thought where I'm not dwelling on the pain, which right now is kind of hard, but and he's been doing this all day. It's with the wiggly ears, he's been doing this all day. Just before I filmed this, he actually, I was on my stomach like this way, half laid down, and he laid down on my back. It's just, it's a crappy day, and it'll pass. Tomorrow's another day. It'll pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass. Right, pet? Hucker? Chicky-noki. Hey! Cookie? I should have called you Cookies. Because everybody likes cookies. So this is my very difficult to care for dog. I've had people ask me why I have him, why I need a service dog. Social anxiety is basically the main one, but he'll warn me before I get a migraine or a fibro attack, and he will then nurse me like he's doing now. He's not picked up yet all that completely on warning me when an anxiety attack is coming, or otherwise I'm the one who's not picking up the cues. But when there is an anxiety attack, he will come and lick me and do whatever it takes for me to pay attention to him and not what's going on around me, which helps again to ground and helps with the mindfulness. If I go, say, grocery shopping without him, I can last maybe 5-10 minutes until the noise, the people, especially the people, the action, it gets overwhelming, and I just have to get out of there. I did that actually at Food Basics last week, where I literally bought maybe 5 things and I had to leave. He was with me too. I had to leave. There was just way too many people, even on lockdown. And I'll go back another day when I'm better, I should say. Some people have asked me why he cannot be certified as an emotional support animal, or I still call him a service dog because without him I would not be able to do much. And that's because Canada doesn't have a registry for emotional support animals, and they're working on it so that we can get the badges or the certificate number. And if he was certified, I would be able to get help for his care, like help to pay for his vet bills, his food, and whatnot, which I can't get right now. So And since I'm on disability, it's it makes it very difficult. Do I um it is what it is. It's hard to think when you have a migraine. Um he comes first. His food comes first, his care comes first. You know, it's yeah, it can be hard, but it's definitely worth it. And I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back in time and not adopt him kind of thing because what he brings is worth so much more than money. Um, what was the other question? I've had people ask me where he went for training, and in Canada, in Canada, at least, people are allowed to train their own emotional service dog. You you can go. There are places I'm sure that you can send your pet, or you can, yeah, send your pet. I don't know if you're allowed to go yourself to have him train. I know that there are organizations that train PTSD animals and whatnot, but thankfully we can train our own service dog, whatever. So I've had people ask me, who's training him? Who am I training him for? I'm training him for myself, and the training will last for the rest of his life. There's always, you know, new stuff to teach. There's always review of what he's learned. It's an ongoing process. It's kind of like a child where you teach them this and that, and then you add more to it, right? So yeah, what's I should have written down the questions. Um, I've had people ask me if they can pet him, which I really appreciate. I've had people mob him without asking, and they got mobbed back with a lot of licks and kisses and jumping. Um, do I allow him to be touched? It will really, really depend how I feel and how I'm approached. Um, he has for a couple times done like Dewey, where he's gone to elderly people that were hurting. They had just lost their pet. Um, and that was very interesting to watch because the husband was just hugging him and the wife was browbeating him. You shouldn't be touching a service dog. There, you see, she's the one who. And I'm like, and I just looked at her and I'm like, it's okay, really. Like, I could tell something was up, and they had just lost their pet. So I mean, you know, that's fine. If people, there are, like I said, it depends on the day. Usually, I try to just keep my head down, not look at anyone. That way, I'm not opening the door for a request that I really have a hard time saying no to, because I know he loves people. Um, but there's what really does not help is when people call him or make excitable noises, or um, even just tell me he's cute. But I've had a couple of people call him, and my temper is not always perfect. And that's the case when I'm just like, really? Like, just please don't do that kind of thing. And I try and stay polite. um, I've had a little girl go up to him and, Poppy! And just, jump and wrap her arms around his neck, and he's looking at me like, what the heck is this? Um, with Dewey, when I had Dewey for 8 years. And he was well known here everywhere. People knew he was really good with kids. Um, there was a little girl, she was 18 months. We'd go to the lake and she'd be there, and I barely had time to unhook Dewey, and she'd grab the ruff of his coat and, come on, doggy! And in the water she went, and he followed her everywhere. And if she fell, she swam like a fish. Okay, this little girl was amazing. And if she fell, he'd be right there in her face. She'd grab his fur or his ears and yank herself up, and I would be like, oh, I'd be biting. But he was so good, very protective of children, protective of anyone who had appeared to be in distress, which led to some interesting experiences. Um, but Hugger hasn't had that exposure as much yet. I mean, we've been to the lake. Um, Usually, he will rather play with other um, dogs if there is, but he will play with children. If they play fetch with him, he will just go freaking nuts, like just. But for a child to run up to him and grab him, he hasn't had much exposure to that, as I don't have children and I don't really run up to him. I don't run at all, actually. Um. Anyway, so we're gonna be heading back out next week, and for an ultrasound. And the last time I had an ultrasound, he was really good about it. You don't really want to time to the door, because the door opens, boot on the dog. The last time he sniffed a tech, gave her a few licks, and he went and lay down in the corner and waited. And I was really proud of that. In May, I have an MRI. I know for a fact that one he's never been exposed to, so that will be interesting. I know with Dewey, I had brought him once to the hospital, and we were escorted by security to, it was a very specific type of ultrasound, and a security guard waited at the nurse's station. I had given them a bag of treats, and all three of them wanted to bring him home. And the only slight problem I had was on our way out, the security guard was to my right, and we went by the Tim Hortons, and this man was very irate that there was a dog, a filthy, stinking dog, in a hospital, and the security guard told him to go sit down. I mean, Dewey was really mellow. As much as this guy's hyper, Dewey was super mellow. So he was chill, but when the guy started coming towards us, and he was a tall guy, speaking loudly, really, really, really irate. I heard it. I don't think the security guard heard it, but I heard a very low growl, and he took one step and he just went into his I'm watching you mode, where he'd lower his head and just stare him down. And I just touched him on the nape of the neck, and he came back to my side. Well, he was in front of me at that point, but he came back to my side. And the security guard told him to go in and lay down, go and sit down. And I was very grateful for that, because that triggered an anxiety attack for me. To have someone come at me yelling like that, it was just, it was very unpleasant. So I've only met a few Karens and Patricks, I call them Patricks, on my outings, and I've only said something once to one Karen, and I was like, not today. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work for the MRI. We'll see. I'll post about it, and yeah. So life with a service dog is, I think it's awesome, and I really wish I knew how to train to do other tasks, like pick something up, or literally go get me a bottle of water or something like that, for when my legs will not function properly like they are right now. But maybe one day, who knows. And I would love to foster other dogs, maybe cats, but most likely dogs, but I can't afford it. So, if anyone's seen on my Instagram, do lovebug is the Instagram handle. I'm selling my artwork for $15 each to raise money to take care of him, to put in the bank so that I can pay his flea stuff, which is $40 a month. He just went to the vet, clean bill of health, $321. Um, his food, just to make it easier for the both of us. So if you're interested in helping out, check out my Instagram. And yeah, so he's I really wasn't planning on making a big speech again. He's lying on a baby pillow, like those, they're shaped as a U. Are you comfy? Hugger. You comfy? You bang. I want to ask him if he needs to go OUT, but he's going to be there a lot faster than I will, so I have to ask him when I get to the door. Oh. He's basically laying 3/4 with his legs up against my back right now. So it's nice to have a back warmer. He's my blessing. So I hope you all have a good weekend. I know we're Thursday, but good weekend, good last day of the week, and that you be blessed abundantly.